ashes burn in the still of the night, it's our turn.
What's up, Star Wars Unlimited fans? It's Loopy here at Late Night Gaming, and I'm here with my teammate McBobber to review the two-player starter.
All right, we're going to be talking about what's in these starters. We're going to play a game. We're going to outline the decks, give some basic strategies, and then lastly, give our final thoughts.
And thank you for the Fantasy Flight for sending us one of these. We got this as a review copy. Here you can see on the screen. What's in it? You actually get a Mandalorian deck, a Moff Gideon deck. I have the Moff Gideon deck, and I sent the Mandalorian deck all the way to California to McBobber. Then you get some other stuff that kind of help. You get posters, playmats. Here, let me show this on the Magna screen here. If you see here, it's actually kind of matches on one side the overlay, or what you do to play a game of Star Wars Unlimited. And on the other side, you get a Mandalorian poster that you can hang on your wall, and a Gideon one as well. This is what the deck box is. It's nothing fancy, but it's got the picture on it. It's nice. It holds the cards. And then, also of interest in here, you actually got these damage tokens, initiative tokens. I mean, it's more than enough. Now, you actually use versions of these on our streams regularly, don't you?
I sure do.
Right. And what's the stuff called that you can do to make them fancy?
Mod Podge. It's like a thing you can get on Amazon. It's sort of like a liquid plastic. You pour it on and it dries, and it kind of makes them a little bit thicker and grippier and tiny.
And they actually look like professional Etsy quality. Like if you actually have your mod, you have your Mod tokens right there.
Oh yeah, that's what I use.
So
I use them every time I play.
That's from the actual starters that you just put that stuff that Ryan told you about on.
That's right. Yeah, Rebel Resource taught me about this stuff and tried it out, and I like it.
And here's the deck box for Mando that I forgot to send him. So we'll get there. All right, so let's get to a game of this. I mean, we know the rules of Star Wars. We have shuffled these. We've played several games virtually to get used to the decks. Let's go. We will flip a late night token for initiative. Do you want to call light side or dark?
Let's go light side. I'm the good guy, right?
All right. It is dark, and I will take initiative. All right, and scoreboard up. Good luck. Have fun, my friend.
Thanks. You too, bud. Got a couple rounds to go here with this setup.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this hand. I think I actually have a pretty good hand, all things considered.
I'm definitely keeping mine. I'm just not sure what I want to resource. It's always tough to want to resource the late game cards, especially in these starters when you get so few of them.
Right. Just put that Fennec away. We don't need her. The two decks, we'll talk a little bit about this more later. Gideon is certainly a ramp deck. I mean, it's got 5 ramp cards that we identified in it between Super Laser Tech and Price on Your Head. And it has a significant space threat. So I'm basically trying to hold on during the middle of the game here, where he tries to tire my guys out. All right, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll play a Beach Boy into the ground arena, Season Shore Trooper.
I'll pay 2 for a Clan Ren Rescuer. He'll give an experience to himself.
So there's a lot of upgrades in the Mando deck.
Yep.
Take initiative.
Very upgrade themed. I will pass.
So the Clan Run Rescuer is a 2/3 right now. Is that right?
That's right. Same as your guy.
Same as my guy. The Shore Trooper has an ability that makes him a little bit stronger later. Not so relevant right now. I'm going to do that. I'm going to play a Phase Trooper into the ground arena. Use a Sentinel.
Let's spend 2 for a Vambrace grapple shot. And since I played an upgrade, I'll exhaust the Mandalorian later to exhaust your short trooper.
Yep. So if you're playing this deck as Gideon, that's going to happen a lot. What is the grapple shot at 2/2?
Gives him +2/+2, and he exhausts the defender when he attacks them.
So my guys are going to get very exhausted. All right.
A lot of exhausting in this deck.
I'll take initiative.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and run into your guy there, and I'll take 3 back.
Yep, sure will. So how much health does he have remaining?
See, he's got +3, so he's 2 health left.
All right. Sounds like the right number.
I'm gonna spend 1 for resilience to give me a little bit more health, +3 health, in fact.
Oh man. Oh man.
This is kind of what you do with this deck. You just got to stack the upgrades and hope it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Then I'll pass. By sometimes it doesn't, I mean it often doesn't.
I set to 4. Moff Gideon himself comes out at 5, and then he has a much better side when he's deployed, which is common in Star Wars Unlimited. That he gives everything overwhelm. When he's not deployed, he can give +1, which is good for trading up. Not much else. I do have Calculated Lethality, which I know is your favorite card in the sets.
There it is. So that's kind of what this matchup is all about from the few times we've played. It's if Gideon gets that card, he kind of just wins most of the time. It's high value. He kills a highly upgraded guy and he gets a lot back, and Mano doesn't really have any answer to that.
Right. So the 3 upgrades that were on it actually turn
into experience, so they become your
experience,
upgrades. I'll play a follower of the way.
All right. I will hit your base. Well, how much do you have? Two left. I think
On this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a 1/2.
And you have 2 mana left, right? Or resources.
Oh, yes.
I'm actually just going to take care of him. Well, he's a 1.
Makes sense to me. I'll pay 2 for Grogu.
All right. He is a 0/5. He's got a cool ability. Take initiative.
0/5. Yeah, I can exhaust him to exhaust other people.
Mm-hmm.
Not a strong card, you know, if the opponent can just kill him. Loopy does have a 5 attack guy here. Pretty solid answer, I think. All right. Now I will run at your base for 5. Giving me a chance. I will spend 2 resources for Queel. He's got Restore 1, and on attack, I could discard a card from my deck. If it shares an aspect with my base, return it to my hand.
I think Queel is a great card, generally, in both Premier and in this match.
He's pretty good for a 2/3.
Right.
Just a 2/3 for 2 cost general stats, but it's got 2 abilities, so that's nice.
I'm going to put a price on his head. That's what I'm going to do.
Uh-oh. I'm going to take the initiative.
All right. I'm going to deploy Gideon. I don't know.
Oh, wait, yeah, Gideon. I shouldn't take the initiative. I should pass.
All right. I will deploy Gideon.
All right, I'll exhaust him. I forgot all about that guy.
Sure will. That was not what I was playing at, though. Okay, legal authority to capture Keel. My bounty will go off, and I will ramp.
I will take the initiative.
What price on your head does is puts the top card of your deck in as a resource, which allows you to basically play 2 resources that turn. So I went from 5 to 7, and that is a good thing given some of the big threats in my deck that I need to find, by the way. Or maybe I'm bluffing. Who knows?
All right, I'll exhaust Grogu to exhaust the Shore Trooper.
So the Shore Trooper is gigantic now because he has 6 resources down and therefore hits heavier. I would have liked to sequence that last turn to take advantage of his buff, not so possible when I have Grogu facing me the other direction. I'm just going to play Remnant Reserves and draw my 5 cards here. Alright, I will reveal a pirate battle tank and a light cruiser.
Only 2, huh?
Oh, I
That's
get a
not
third
lucky.
one too.
Oh, you do have 3. Okay.
We'll get a Burninator.
Yeah, Remnant Reserve's pretty interesting new card. 4 costs, draw 3 basically, since you get 3 units out of 5 cards. That's pretty typical that you'll have a lot of units in your deck.
Right.
I will deploy the Mandalorian.
I will deploy a cell block card.
I will attack that cell block card.
Alright, it will die. Doing 3 back. Mando is 7.
Yes, he has 4 health remaining.
And you have all of your resources left.
That's correct.
I will put 3 damage into Grogu. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to spend 5 resources for the armor. She gives a shield to 3 Mandalorians, so that'll be herself, and of course, the Mandalorian himself.
Right. That's not bad. Shields are good.
One thing that's pretty handy in these starter sets that you get double-sided experience and shield cards, which normally you don't get in packs. Usually it's the bases that have one or the other on the back.
Yeah, and I had a guy yesterday at Locals that was using the the Mando experience for ground experience, and then the set 1 experience for space. That's kind of a cool idea. I'll take the initiative.
There's a lot of really good incentives to get these starters. You know, you got all the exclusive cards, which can be pretty cool. There's usually like 10 cards, I think, in each starter that are you only find in the starters in the weekly OP packs. But then you get all these other little goodies too, kind of like Loki was covering earlier.
And I do
I'll
think,
pass.
yeah, I do think it's pretty neat that the OP packs do have them as well, right? So that's a nice thing they did for players. It's not strictly required to buy a starter, but it is good value. All right, so the play here first is, I think, to have Moff Gideon murder Greedo, and you take an Overwhelm.
I'm guessing Grogu is Greedo here.
Ah, yes,
Moff Gideon doesn't have Overwhelm himself, does he?
he does.
Oh yeah, that's cool. All right, I'll take one of my base.
Don't underestimate them off.
Or Grogu.
Mm.
Let's see, what have I lost? Quite a few dudes. Let's have that short trooper's got what? 5 health?
He's got 5 health
Or
remaining.
4.
Yes.
5 health. That's too much. And he's got how much attack? 6?
7.
7. Dang. Guess the armor is going to run into him. Let's get 3 on him. Gotta whittle him down.
Yep, so he goes to 6. Well, he's at 2, so he goes to 5.
Yes.
All right. I think we're just going to put 7 into your base. How about that?
All right, that'll put me to 13.
Right.
All right, let's drop Fennec Shand. She will ambush and deal 2 damage to the shore trooper
All right.
with her on-attack ability. She deals damage equal to the number of different resource costs in my discard pile.
Which is
Kind of an
just-
interesting ability.
Yeah, it is. I think I underrated her, at least for sure. I will play the battle cruiser, and I will pull out phase trooper. The battle cruiser, when it comes in, it costs 8. If it sees Moff Gideon, either as leader or out, it can play a unit that costs 3 or less and has villainy from the discard pile. Similar to
I'm gonna
Vader,
take the,
but from a deck.
I'm gonna take the initiative.
All right, and I will pass. What's the stats on the armor?
The armor, she's a 3/5. Speaking of, she's going to use that 3 to take out your Sentinel.
All right. Where one dies, another shall emerge. One of my favorite cards in these starters, the Pirate Battle Tank, will come out and block the way.
I'm going to spend 3 for the Mandalorian's rifle. I'm going to capture that tank. Mandalorian's rifle lets me capture an exhausted enemy non-leader when I play it on the Mandalorian. And it gets some +3 attack.
All right.
Additionally, Mando's ability in his unit form is I can exhaust a unit with 6 or less remaining HP, but there are none right now, so that's all that's happening.
Well, you could exhaust one of your guys. I mean,
I could.
Actually, Fennec has more than that. You'd have to exhaust himself.
No, Fennec has 6 HP. She'd be just the right.
She's a legal target, so sure you don't want to exhaust her.
Yeah, she's legal.
All right. The Pirate Battle Tank's currently captured. I think what I have to do here is knock off Mando's shield that he still has. That's one of those cards, right?
That's right.
We'll just put the damage right on the Death Trooper.
Now, unfortunately, I don't have enough costs to get Gideon here with Fennec. So let's spend 2. I'm going to play a Clan Ren Rescuer. I'll give an experience to the Mandalorian.
All right, so Mando is holding.
He's 8 attack, 8 health. So he's got 5 health remaining.
We'll take your base for 3. Take you to 16.
All right, Mando's going to wipe out Gideon there.
Yep. And then you get
I'll
a
take
Queel
3
back.
That put me to 6. I do get Queel back.
You can speak again. All right, I will take your base for 7 with the light cruiser.
Okay, that'll put me to 23. Not a great number for me. Fennec Shan is going to kill the Death Trooper, as she must.
I'll take initiative.
I will spend my last 2 resources for a Follower of the Way, and then I will pass.
You have an extremely scary Ground Arena.
I don't think it's going to be enough.
I don't think it matters because on the gun, I will attack for 7.
All right, that's it. 30 damage.
All right, so that was a game. I think that's fairly typical of how these can go. I mean, certainly the swing was calculated lethality. I mean, which I identified, when we were doing this too. Just buffing up that guy was huge.
Yeah, I put like 3 or 4 cards into one guy, and then he turned into to your buff instead.
Right. So, all right. Let's talk about the Mando deck that we just saw. You've played more of it. What's the game plan, for success, or what cards do you like in there? Let's talk about that first.
So there's a few pretty cool cards in here. I like Fennec Shand. She's only a 1-of, but she's quite useful. But as far as the exclusives go to the starter, I really like the Razor Crest. That thing is super good. So that's a 4-cost spaceship that's got 3 attack, 4 health, restore 2, and when you play it, you return an upgrade from your discard pile to your hand. So you're just getting a lot of value in that. It does something as soon as you play it. 3/4 is pretty good in space. There's a lot of like 3 attack, 3 health. That's like pretty standard early game space unit stats. So it trades into those pretty well. And it's got the restore, which is a pretty nice bonus too. So I would say personally that's my favorite card in the Mandalorian deck.
All right, and I think I mean, it's good for constructed too. If you have something that's trying to get upgrades, I mean, being able to pull back from discard is just really good.
Absolutely, it's got the Mandalorian trait too, which is quite relevant for a good few things in this set.
Yep, Bo-Katan as well. I mean, if you're running that. All right, so how do you get to it? I mean, I think actually we're 2-2 now in games between the starters. So on the games you win, what does it look like?
So in this particular matchup, calculated lethality determines a lot of the game. It wipes out those early units. So really, the only safe guy you have to stack all your upgrades on is Mando himself.
Right.
And I think all the times I've won, it's been by just keeping him alive, stacking tons of upgrades on him, and then just being able to overwhelm the opponent with that. And usually the way I have to do that is by focusing on the ground and trying to get a lot of control down there and clear out a lot of Gideon's guys so that he doesn't dominate the ground so hard. So Mando has a little bit of room to get upgraded.
Yep, and there's some bounties in the Mando deck.
Yep. Yeah. You can exhaust people when you play bounties, which is pretty nice. I didn't do it at all this game, but it's a pretty bounty heavy deck. There's even my favorite one's probably the 0 cost, and it gives you a shield when you kill the guy, which is just what Mando needs.
And that's what I recall from some of the wins too. Is I mean, if you bop the shield and you can actually put it on Mando, when it comes, I mean, it can be real strong because I mean he is got a much stronger body than Gideon. Gideon's kind of a wimp at a 3/6. I mean, he more gives buffs to the other side.
Yeah. Mando comes out at 6, which is pretty late, but he does have that big 4/7 body, and the ability to exhaust guys too when you play upgrades is pretty nice because that's what you're doing a lot with this deck. It's packed full of upgrades.
Right. And I mean, you saw actually, I think very demonstrably, the light cruiser was what put the nail in the coffin. There's one card basically that addresses it, right?
Yeah, there's Fell the Dragon in this deck. It's a 4 cost event that destroys a unit that has 5 or more attack. It would have been useful even for the Shore Trooper in this game, but
Yep.
I didn't have it. There's only one of them in the deck, but it's really your only answer to those big cards.
So I would not resource that either. Okay, this is the Gideon deck. I mean, I think that it has certainly a couple of cards that are super constructed relevant. The Phase 3 Dark Troopers are very core to my Kylo deck. I mean, they're core to the Vader deck. For green black, I mean, it's like a cell block card, but a little bit better. And you need that 3-cost Sentinel spot. So that's like a key card here. I don't know how relevant it is to constructed, but the light cruiser, as far as winning with the deck when you're playing in the 2 starters, is the win con. I mean, you can get that up in space. There's really nothing in the Mando deck that can answer it other than the one Fell the Dragon and then some of the like mid-range type units.
Yeah, I'd say that light cruiser is probably an auto include if you're ever playing with Moff Gideon as your leader. Like
Right.
it's sort of like Home 1, but for villain. It comes in, it gives you a guy, which is pretty good. Right, you can get Sentinel or whatever you want to get. So
If Home 1 and Darth Vader had a baby, it would be that by, which is kind of a disturbing thought when you think about it. All right, so
I don't even want to know how that works.
get to the next slide here. All right, so Gideon, I mean, you have a lot of small guys. I mean, Gideon's ability is limited to units that cost 3 or less, so there's quite a few in the deck. On deploy, he can overwhelm. I don't think it was too relevant that game, but I mean, I've certainly had others where you're finishing off guys and doing quite a bit of overwhelm damage with other units than Gideon. What was relevant is this third point is ramp, then cruiser. I mean, that's exactly what happened. I got a price of the head off by capturing Keel, and then I got to my cruiser fast. I don't think I've actually played Remnant Reserves before, but that is what found the cruiser for me, as well as that pirate tank that got in the way. I didn't see Confiscate, but you can tactically confiscate upgrades away. If you can take an upgrade away to put them under their max health, the unit dies if it has that much damages. And we talked about calculated lethality. It's a blue card. It destroys a unit that costs 3 or less with any upgrades on it. Mando basically has to go upgrade heavy early on. I mean, if you're looking for that card to answer what's happening there at the beginning of the game, had I not had that and be able to kind of turn the table on that, I think it was a Follower of the Way. It's a Follower of the Way, a Clan Run Rescuer that got really, really beefy. That would have been an entirely different game because he would have killed the Shore Trooper and I would have had an empty board. And in the
Yeah, most of Mando's early units are upgrade focused. A lot of the little Mandalorian guys, they either give upgrades or they do more when they're upgraded. Even the village protectors, I didn't get them this game, but they also come in with a shield. Calculated lethality, I think, really is a game decider in this matchup between the two starter decks.
Yep. Then that and probably the Fell the Dragon if it's towards the end and you're trying to finish. I mean, more often the Mando deck is going to be ahead and keeping the Gideon deck units exhausted. I mean, because you can attack with one thing, the Mando's going to usually exhaust your second unit. So, I mean, you're able to do very little and very little progress in the middle of the game. You got to kind of get past that to the big bombs, and that's consistent with a lot of matchups in Star Wars Unlimited and Constructed too. I mean, you could see like a Han deck, going against a villain control deck and having to look a lot like this, like Kira and a Han, something like that.
That makes sense.
All right. So, final thoughts on the starter. For somebody looking at this, I mean, this is a standalone kit. You can have all kinds of fun, and play against these if you're fans of the show. I mean, you don't have to collect the rest of the cards. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you can even play these against the set one starters too. It's like you get everything you need to play your own little mini pre-made deck games, basically. But overall, you get good cards in here. We covered a couple of them, but these are good cards to own. Like they can play to a lot of decks and bring good value. So it's if you can't get these cards, I mean, you won't have all the options. So
And
it's good to pick up for that reason, at least.
I do think that they're thematic games. I mean, as Gideon, you're really trying to flood the board with a whole bunch of small guys to buy time to come in with your Star Destroyer, and wipe out the Mandalorian threat. So I do think it's good that way, and you have to be very conscious of what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think it too. It has pretty much all the fun characters that you like from the Mandalorian show. At least seasons 1 and 2. But I mean, you got Queel and Grogu and Mando and the Armorer. You got pretty much everyone you'd expect in there. Maybe barring a couple characters, but
Yeah, and it
it
felt
fits.
it felt good. I captured Queel with Gideon. I mean, it kind of seemed like something that might happen in the show. I mean, Grogu was particularly annoying. I actually had to take him out, though I spent and I avoided some damage to do it just because I couldn't keep having my guys, one of the two, exhausted every time. So
Yeah, I thought Gideon's supposed to capture Grogu, not kill him. What happened there?
well, we're done with him. Our research is over. I captured Keel. Apparently, he's more interesting, nowadays. But and then one I think downside of it though is it is a lot of the game does come down to a couple of cards. I mean, I think that we've played several here. I mean, you're taking the correct lines. I mean, the Mando deck is very very strong in the beginning of the game. I mean, I think that calculated lethality is in there to counter it, but it is a giant swing whether you have it or not. Whereas if you're Gideon and you don't have access to that, and he's got a gigantic early unit, I mean, you're just going to lose. You're going to get your face run in.
Yeah, I'd say that's part of why I gave a B+ for this overall set. I do feel like the Gideon deck is maybe a little too much of a hard counter to the Mandalorian deck. Calculated lethality being having 3 of it's rough. Like because Mando doesn't really have an answer to that, and it wrecks him pretty hard. If it was just a 1 of, I think it'd be all right, but it's just a little too consistent, I think, in the counter.
All right. So that's our review of the starter. Hope this was helpful. Make some decisions, and hope you enjoy the game. If you get into this and you want to do some more content, we have a live stream with guests from the Star Wars Limited community most Saturdays. Hit like to subscribe. I mean, that helps a lot. Get the channel, and hope to see you around. Playing the game.
All right, thanks for watching, everyone.
Later.